What if you could only hold 5 altcoins for the rest of the bull market? So in this video, I'm going to go over the 5 token portfolio that I think cover everything you need in crypto, because a lot of the times as a crypto investor, you want to have your eggs in so many different baskets. The industry is full of FOMO, but the 5 token portfolio that I feel like we have put together in this video, I think covers so many different narratives. And from what we've seen over the last 6 months, one of these has had runs during every duration of that time period. So let's go ahead and jump into it with the ultimate 5 coin portfolio, the only 5 coins you need for the rest of this bull run. Let's get into it.
But first things first, as always, guys, drop down, hit that like button, and subscribe to the channel for more. If you enjoy the content here on In the Game, from the top level market analysis in crypto gaming, AI, RWA, meme coins, and more, hit that like and subscribe down below. And a big shout out to our sponsors in the description down below. You can find more information on 𝗿𝗏𝗪𝗏 𝗏𝗏𝗏 as well as our premier exchange partner here on the channel, which is Bluefin, no KYC, centralized exchange. They have all of the tokens that we are going to talk about in this video. And as of a few days ago, they also have all of them on spot, not just leverage. So if you are looking for a place to securely buy and also trade crypto, you can hit the link down below and get a sign up bonus if you use the link in the description for Bluefin. So let's go ahead and jump into the video, as we're not going to talk about news. We're not going to talk about anything else really other than the 5 coin portfolio that we have crafted. And I want to go over the ideology of why I think this is going to prevent the dilution of your mind in this market, because right now we live in an attention economy, and every other day people are talking about 𝗖𝗏𝗏𝗏, Loudio, virtuals, pump fund, all these different tokens, and it really is hard to keep up. And also, if you have limited liquidity in crypto, which a lot of people do at the end of the day, it's really hard to just keep rotating out of positions. And then you rotate into one and the hype dies. And then you have to, figure out what you're going to do with that capital. You have to pick and choose between all of the hot projects on the timeline, which everyone already has exposure to. And then it leaves you feeling sidelined. You feel the FOMO. Then you have losses because you're chasing a top. And it just is really this pattern that becomes toxic as a crypto investor. So whenever we look at the altcoin market, there are so many different altcoins that even I like, right? Like whenever we are on this channel, there's probably a basket of 15, 20 tokens that I am genuinely bullish on. But at the end of the day, it's hard to have exposure to that, especially if you're someone with a $5,000, $10,000 portfolio. Let's just say as an example, it's really hard to put $100, $200 into 20 tokens and really feel like you get the upside as if you just choose 5 quality projects. So in this video, I'm going to give you guys my 5 token ultimate altcoin portfolio for this bull run. Now, I want to make a caveat here up front that we are not including Bitcoin in this 5 coin portfolio. So as always, I would highly advise, no matter who you are, figure out how to get your hands on some Bitcoin. Any Bitcoin, a lot of people say, I can DCA, but I don't feel like I have enough. Any Bitcoin is going to go a long way whenever it comes to 5, 10 years down the line. Every institution is racing for it. So this is an altcoin video, but I want to make sure to preface that if you don't have Bitcoin in your portfolio, I don't care if you do have just $1,000, $500 in crypto. I think it is advantageous to at least set up a strategy to accumulate Bitcoin over the course of time. Even to this day, I've been investing in crypto since 2017, bought my first Bitcoin in 2015. I didn't even know what it was at that point in time, right? Once I started figuring it out, I've had a plan for years at this point. I buy Bitcoin every single day, a recurring buy right out of my bank account. So I would advise just having a setup, whether you buy weekly, monthly, etc. There's never going to be a time period where you can feel like you have too little Bitcoin or you're too small of an investor to have Bitcoin. I think that Bitcoin over the course of time is going to become one of the biggest assets in the entire world. And really, any is going to be worth your time and your money whenever it comes to the long term. Now, let's get into the altcoin side. And I'm going to definitely have to do some explaining in this video because you guys know I'm big on the gaming niche, right? I love crypto gaming. I do think there is going to be a run at some point during this cycle, but as any savvy investor should, theses change over time, right? So we've had a lot of things happen in the crypto gaming industry that maybe have caused a little bit more of bearish, outlook, not even just I think that we will have a gaming run this cycle. I think that long term, there will be fits for crypto gaming, NFTs and video games on chain using Web3, the Ponzi-nomic side of it, whatever the case is. I do see gaming still having an avenue in the future. But you will notice in this portfolio, my gaming exposure comes through blockchains. Now, I've talked about this a lot on this channel, that I think that is the way to do it because you're betting on an overarching chain, which has multiple things going on, not just gaming. And then if games on those chains do explode, you have exposure to those. So you will notice I don't have any individual particular gaming tokens in this portfolio, but I go over in this video why I feel like 2 of my picks do give me really good exposure to the gaming niche. Now, without further ado, let's jump into token number 1 in this portfolio, the 5 token portfolio. And that's Hyperliquid. Look, I think that Hyperliquid has proven themselves to be probably the highest leverage, highest utility trading token in the entire market. And look, I think there's a couple niches that are going to be indestructible in this market. Now, there's always risk whenever you invest in cryptocurrency, but I think the narratives of AI, I think the trading side of it, when you're betting on a platform like Hyperliquid, and theoretically with the upcoming pump fund token, but the trenches have really died out. Hyperliquid has proven this business model is an absolute beast. And even at $11 billion market cap and $35 billion fully diluted, if I look at this coin, it's 2x undervalued Cardano. It's about 2.5x undervalued Tron and Dogecoin. I really wouldn't be surprised to see this sneak up into the top 8 coins in crypto, and it's currently number 11. And if we saw $100 Hyperliquid this cycle, it really wouldn't surprise me. And you might be wondering, well, I do feel like I'm a little late. This coin was down at what was it, over the course of this year? The lows got down to the high $11 ranges, but at the end of the day, their volume just continues to increase. They do buybacks off the fees every single day. 2 days of Hypercore revenues alone would send the token to $39, 4 days to all-time highs. The sell side is getting thinner, all while a record amount of shorts are trapped and will be forced to cover Hyperliquid. And then we see here the listings update. There is a pretty good roadmap of listings coming up with Binance US. Binance perps are live. Coinbase perps go live on June 5th. And then a Kraken upcoming listing does seem to be in the works. And look, I just think as far as on-chain liquidity, on-chain decentralized trading, this is the number 1 play. And I think it maybe is the biggest powerhouse token in all of crypto. So number 1 is absolutely Hyperliquid. And look, I have to say this as well. Our platform, Nexus, we have trading live right now for paid subscribers and NFT holders. This eventually will go public to any user that comes across the platform. We are also working alongside Hyperliquid. So if you trade on Nexus, you will also qualify for a potential future Hyperliquid airdrop. So there's a lot of things to factor in. And I do think the next Hyperliquid airdrop will be the biggest airdrop that we may have ever seen in crypto. But nonetheless, I think that Hyperliquid is a future $100 token, and it is currently sitting at $35. So let's go ahead and jump into pick number 2. So that's really going to be the only quote unquote trading niche coin that we choose in this video. But the next few coins, I think, just make too much sense in this current climate. Number 2 is 𝗏. And you guys know over the course of time on this channel, I have talked endlessly about how 𝗵𝗆𝗏 is my by far number 1 AI token in the entire market. I think even above Near Protocol, I think above Render, I think above ICP or Fetch or, artificial super intelligence or whatever the case is with their rebrand. I think that there is no coin that comes close to the community, the tech, etc., and the longevity that has come with 𝗵𝗆𝗏. I'll keep this one a bit short because I talk about this one quite a bit. The total 𝗬 subnets have doubled since February. This bodes well for the strength of 𝗬, and it continues to be one of my biggest bags. I think if you're in the AI niche, you're betting on AI, which I think is going to probably be, aside from meme coins, the most successful niche in the entire crypto space. AI agents, whatever the case is. I think 𝗵𝗏𝗔𝗟 is the play, and I also think that 𝗵𝗏𝗔𝗟 can be trading above $1,000 by the end of this bull run. And like I said, I will keep that one short because we do talk about that quite a bit on this channel. And if you know me, my favorite AI token in the entire industry is 𝗬. So we have Hyperliquid and 𝗬. Number 3. Now, this one was tricky. I was between Solana and another token. And honestly, I was going to put Solana in this. But when you look at the metrics on Solana, a lot of the biggest players have even said they've sold off in favor of another altcoin. The trenches have really slowed in volume. A lot of people got cooked on Solana, like they lost so much money in the casino, in the trenches, whatever the case is, that like the vibes on Solana really aren't up right now. And I think that there's an opportunity to catch what people are calling the next Solana. And it is really on a dip over the course of this last month, despite some of the bullish momentum that the market showed earlier this month, and that is 𝗬𝗎. Look, I think 𝗬𝗎 is still so undervalued here at $3, sitting at a $30 billion fully diluted and $10 billion circulating market cap. Once again, I think this is a token that can flip Cardano, that can flip Tron, etc. And also, I had forgotten to show, but I had tweeted asking people what their 5-coin portfolio was. A lot of people responded to it. Becker threw his out there, etc. So if you want to go check that out, it is on my Twitter. But to me, 𝗬𝗎, this is an inevitable play. And if you look at the metrics, I think it's brewing up for a huge run. The SEC acknowledges receipt of filing for the 21 shares spot 𝗬𝗎 ETF. I definitely think we're going to see some 𝗬𝗎 ETFs coming up. We see the daily transactions now above the Binance Smart Chain, which is really an incredible metric. They're outdoing Polygon, Ripple, Ethereum, C-Chain, Cardano, Polkadot, etc. And if you read some, articles, look at some interviews about 𝗬𝗎, they are talking to projects saying, hey, if you don't think you can bring us 1 billion users, we don't really want to have a high-level conversation with you whenever it comes to building on 𝗬𝗎, which is probably why you're seeing under the radar this chain do so well when it doesn't even feel like on the timeline that this token is really out front and leading the charge as far as the narrative goes. And then this does give me gaming exposure because 𝗬𝗎, they have the handheld device, they have a huge focus and emphasis on the gaming space moving forward. And Pokemon launched digital souvenirs NFTs, which are backed on the 𝗬𝗎 blockchain. So you're literally getting exposure to Pokemon, the IP, if you bet on 𝗬𝗎. So to me, this is an absolute no-brainer and is one of the plays that does give me exposure to the gaming sector. So far, we have Hyperliquid, we have 𝗬, and we have 𝗬𝗎, and I am sidelining Solana. Solana will not be in this 5-coin portfolio. I think that 𝗬𝗎 is so undervalued. I think Hyperliquid has more X's in it than something like Solana at this point in time. I think 𝗬 definitely has some more X's in it. So as far as upside, but also relevance in today's market, I think these three are taking up a lot of mind share, and a lot of top-level investors are stacking these assets. So I definitely want exposure to those three. Number 4. Okay, so it has been the slowest mover, and I'm definitely taking more of a risk here with this token. Although I just think that what we've seen this bull run, there is no token that has made more strides in the market as far as utility, true use case, institutional adoption, gaming adoption, AI, meme coins, real estate. And that is the big red coin in my background, which is Avalanche. The price action just absolutely perplexes me that people would lean into something as stupid as a Laudio or Pump Fund token, whatever the case is, when I think that this is a $100 token that should be trading closer to that, at least 60 at this point in time in the market, given what it's done over the course of this year. But you're looking at Avalanche at 20 bucks. $8 billion market cap, $14 billion fully diluted. I think this trades easily by the end of the bull, $80, $100 at minimum, especially whenever people actually start reading between the lines and quit with the gimmicks that they see on crypto Twitter. Literally, just in the month of May, we're at the beginning of June as of recording this video. FIFA, the Federation of Football, is building a layer 1 on Avalanche. 𝗵𝗆𝗆𝗏 by 𝗖𝗵𝗵𝗆 coming to Avalanche. MapleStory, one of the biggest games in crypto, on AVAX. Off the Grid going mainnet on their L1 on Avalanche. Meme coins like 𝗘𝗫, the biggest meme coin in the cat market now, lives on Avalanche. They just had a big time success in the AVAX summit in London. And then on top of that, they just led the charge on the biggest real estate initiative ever on chain. $240 billion in real estate coming on chain, and they chose Avalanche. So look, I just think Avalanche is, if you add up everything here, there's too much good stuff going on AVAX to fade. And I just think when this price does break really like 25 bucks, 26 bucks, we're going to probably have a clear path to $40, $50, $60, especially if the climate is right. And I just think once people quit focusing on absolute garbage that has no longevity, I think AVAX is one of the best plays in the market. So at 20 bucks, my number 4 coin in this 5 coin portfolio is going to be Avalanche. All right, and number 5, I won't lie, this one was the hardest to pick. Do I want to bet on SocialFi, with Kaido? Do I want to bet on AI agents with Virtual? Do I want to bet on gaming with something like Ronin or Superverse or something of that matter? Do I want to maybe put my eggs in a basket that hasn't TGE'd? Maybe say, start trading on Abstract, or do I want to get in the meme coin space? Maybe I want to do Fartcoin or Pengu. But at the end of the day, let's keep it a little more serious here. I just don't think that adding a meme coin at the end of this is really the smartest thing to do, even as the meme coin trenches are just absolutely cooked. And at the end of the day, Fartcoin could be a good number 5. Pengu could be a good number 5. I believe in the 5 coins. Becker responded to my post and included Pengu in his. So look, you could really go a lot of different ways when it comes to this 5th token. However, I'm going to go with a narrative that is hot right now, but has also figured out a way to survive and rejuvenate even when their meta comes to an end. And a lot of people are making a lot of money on this protocol at this point in time. And I think as long as AI agents are in play, that Virtual's protocol is always going to lead the charge and find a way to just win this meta. Earlier in the back end of 2024, we saw them lead the charge with AI agents, and now they've really redone their business model to come up with these Genesis launches, and these are just crushing it for people that are accumulating points, pledging Virtuals. So Virtuals has a use case. You're dumping money into these different launches. Some people are making $2,000, $5,000, $10,000 on any given launch, and this ecosystem is literally carrying the base blockchain. And even when this Genesis launch points, Ponzi type of thing does go away, Virtuals has proven that they will find a way to come back. If we just go look at the Virtuals token right now, sitting at a $1.1 billion market cap, we just look at the 1-year chart here. When they went up to 460, they went all the way back down to 43 cents, a 90% dip. Okay, but this thing has ran back up to 244 before this market did take a little bit of a bearish turn amidst the tariff news a few weeks ago. But this team has found a way to pivot through everything that has gone wrong in this market. And I want double exposure to AI. I want that exposure to Tau with the growth on the network. And I just think it is by far the best AI coin in crypto. But also, I think AI agents are not going anywhere. And Virtuals is going to lead that narrative time and time again. And to be honest, this recent time that has happened with the Genesis launch, the points, the virgin points as they're calling it, this has seemed to go on longer than even I would have thought. It may be a little more sustainable than most people on crypto Twitter even thought. So to me, I will bet on virtuals for the duration of the bull run, and especially sitting at over 50% from its all-time highs that it set back in December. So that is my 5-coin portfolio. I think the one that really was on the edge there for me would be something like a Super or a Solana. Like I said, Solana almost made the cut, but I swapped it in with 𝗬𝗎. I just think 𝗬𝗎 is going to have more upside throughout this bull run. But that is my 5-coin portfolio for this bull run. If I just had to narrow it down, only hold 5 tokens, I'm looking at Hyperliquid, I am looking at 𝗬𝗎, I'm looking at 𝗬𝗏, as well as virtuals, and of course the big red coin, Avalanche. And that's a dark horse play. It hasn't really had the mind share or quote unquote the price action yet this bull run, but I do think eventually we will see the AVAX price reflect what is going on the network. So what I would like you guys to do is drop down in the comments, let me know your 5. I don't want to hear slander if I left out your favorite coin out of this 5-coin portfolio. Rather so, give me your thesis on the 5 that you would choose to hold throughout the rest of the bull run. And of course, if you enjoyed the content, like the video down below and subscribe to the channel. I am going to personally allocate capital into this 5-coin portfolio, and we will see if it outperforms my just overall broader portfolio by being a more narrow and nimble focused investor in these 5 coins. So guys, I'll see y'all on the next video. As always, play well, my friends, and of course, stay bullish, my friends.